Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sushrita, and
I'm Vikrant, and joining us today is Shantanu Sharma. He's one of our featured writers in our magazine. Shantanu, glad to have you here in our honest conversation section. So last time we did honest conversations, by the way, we were still in double digits in
Are you
terms of
now in
view
triple or
lines.
4 digits now?
We are now in 4 digits. We're now quadruple digits now.
Oh,
yeah.
So
awesome.
that's how long we haven't done honest conversations. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
and our honest conversations are brutally honest, which kind of sort of ends up me roasting Vikrant or Vikrant aiming or trying to roast me, but then I just give it back to him.
That
And
has never happened.
oh, shut up! You go and watch the honest conversations video and then talk to me, okay?
So, Shantanu,
Yeah.
we've basically talked like every angle, which ways we can talk about mental health, the importance of mental health. The whole reason for the AMP's existence is because we want to talk about mental health. But the point of you being here is we wanted to take a fresh perspective
Yep.
about what other people think about what mental health is and how it should be tackled and how do we cope with what the stigma for current mental health scenario is in our country. I mean, people would rather tell people to buck up and man up rather than go see a therapist. So, what do you think about the current scenario, especially after COVID hit?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think people realize that there's a scenario. That is my first thought on it. Because I see a lot of times that it's not considered as seriously. And especially in the corporate sector, I work in the corporate sector and I know that if you tell somebody ना कि मुझे stress हो रहा है, they'll say stress तो होता ही है यार, stress में क्या problem है? And it is somehow borderline hilarious and stupid because stress is not something which is part of your life. It is not supposed to be part of your life. But things like stress, things like anxiety, things like, and I have read about this because I am writing a book on stress management for corporates, which is why I know that very anxiety can very quickly shift to a bipolar, and people don't really understand that because you the reason is you try to manage and people tell you कि हाँ नहीं, it is okay, it is part of life and everything, you say चल ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, and you keep living with it and you keep living with it. After a point of time you start going into extremes where you've never spoken to anybody about the fact that you're depressed, and now you're in a state where you feel कि यार अब मैं बोलूंगा ना then I'll come across as weak. So it's really a mental. Uh, I honestly don't know why people say that being mental is a problem, because it is a mental health issue and people don't take it seriously. And it'll sound very Shah Rukh Khanish in Dear Zindagi, but if people have an ACL injury, they say हाँ मैंने surgery कराया है. But when you are going to a therapist, you will never tell people that I'm going to a therapist because I have problems sleeping at night. So I think it's still people don't even consider it a scenario right now. हम
No,
लोगों की age पे still it's there.
yeah. No, but even the way some people nonchalantly pass off medical terms in conversations, like
I
my
know.
girlfriend is such a psycho. She's not
Yeah.
psycho, man. Tu gadha hai. That you made her your girlfriend. You made such a difficult woman your girlfriend.
People would
Okay,
not know the full form of psycho, by the way.
I'm going to kind of sort of interject over here. So there is a anxiety is different, bipolar disorder is different.
Yeah,
So bipolar
absolutely.
disorder is part of mood disorders, which falls under the depression spectrum, wherein you either go from a depressive episode to a manic episode, and this has nothing to do with mood swings. This
Yeah,
has nothing to do with mood swings at all. So what happens is there is a change in the neurochemistry of your brain which causes for you to go into the manic phase. Because if you look at mania by itself, like just individually take it out of bipolar and look at mania as a presentation of a symptom presentation, it kind of sort of borders onto the psychosis spectrum, wherein you have delusions, hallucinations, so on and so forth. All right.
Yeah.
And in mania, there is this notion of grandiosity that develops, wherein you feel that, to give you an example, I'm a common person. मुझे प्राइम मिनिस्टर से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, मुझे प्रेसिडेंट से कोई लेना देना नहीं है of my country or any other country, but perhaps because of my manic episode, I may also end up making false claims that, oh, I know the prime minister of our country, he and I are chuddy buddies, every day we meet over chai, that is how he became chai wala to PM, this is his story. So what happens in mania is that manic phase basically वहां पे थोड़ा ये switch होता है. The journey from anxiety to bipolar is not necessarily that way itself, but a strong biological predisposition is one of the most significant factors which may cause for you to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it is definitely treatable with psychiatric medication as well as therapy, because the mania definitely requires psychiatric intervention.
But it's a medical problem which requires
Yeah.
help. Now, people don't realize that it
Definitely.
requires help. People just feel moody.
That's
No,
the whole thing.
the whole thing is they see it as a sign of weakness to even ask for help.
Talking
Sorry.
every single time, human being. So that is the thing. With mania, what happens is there is an extreme change in the person's presentation of himself or herself. But that doesn't mean that, that's like a mood swing. It is quite
Correct.
unfortunate that it is mislabeled as, acha, theek hai, this person is just on another, this thing, forget it. That is not even the case. It is so sad that. I mean, us as mental health professionals, so me and my fraternity of mental health workers, it's kind of sort of like a daily struggle for us, because there are so many misnomers, misconceptions of things that even our patients, even our clients come with. So we literally go down through many sessions wherein we're just psycho-educating the client, wherein I'm educating the person about the psychological impact of things, how politics can impact your mental health, how finances can impact your mental health, how being in particular socioeconomic strata, belonging to a particular region, belonging to a particular religion, belonging to a particular caste, community, etc., 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 and the deep-rooted notions and beliefs that are set in your mind because of the way you were brought up and so on and so forth, how much these things contribute to causing an imbalance in your mental health. So stigma is like another battle only, and we've been fighting this battle since years. It is unseen, unknown. It is a pandemic which struck worse than the Spanish flu and COVID-19 combined, and it continues to impact each and every person's lives every single day, every single living moment, every single second. People just refuse to realize and accept that it's a very, very, very important thing. And but respective, we do still, we do our bit. That's why
just like those QAnon guys are refusing to accept that Trump lost.
Inappropriate humor at the most inappropriate time.
Absolutely unrelated events.
Yeah,
no, but there is a common link. They are refusing to admit stuff.
What an interesting common link. I mean,
no, but it's an interesting dichotomy. Like, we expected 2020 will end, 2021 will start, and the shitstorm that we're in will completely be gone by then. We were quite optimistic. The vaccinations have arrived. People are starting to get inoculated and stuff like that. And then January 2021 happened. And I completely lost all faith in human intelligence actually existing. Completely. No, in what universe are, Trump not losing despite losing, or Jewish space lasers, or stuff like that, or a cabal of pedophile Democrats ever make sense?
Let's not talk about pedophiles.
A very deep topic for me to say anything at all.
No, but what happened on Jan 6. Jan
Yeah.
6 is an indication of a mind that is not willing to accept reality.
Oh no, I think it's your own your own super intelligence screwing with you. Where you feel कि यार मैंने सोच लिया, this is it. It is a form of delusion only, na. It's not even it's not hallucination. It's a delusion that नहीं ये है ऐसा है. And he was as delusional during the pandemic as well. He said everything is fine, everything is okay. You don't need to do this. So
You
he
only need
is.
to drink bleach.
Yeah, that's it. He's delusional on it. So I was actually, there were a lot of memes that said he'll have to be kicked out of office, and they were all true. Yeah, ultimately they were all true.
No, but he kept on saying, "How can I lose? I got 75 million votes." But you failed to understand that the other person got 77 million votes. He got 2 million votes more than you.
Like, wo to see, even if he would not have got as many votes, democracy all around the world is very screwed up because you need to win states, not people. So it's anyways a very shaky ground to be on. But last time he also won like this year. He won states. He did not win popular vote, and this time he's claiming he won popular vote even if he didn't. But ultimately he has to win states. जो अपने इंडिया में हाल है वही वहाँ पे है. You have to base in India also. You have to win UP, Bihar, Maharashtra. If you win UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh, you won the election. बाकी स्टेट्स में कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ता है because the seat share is not that big. So that is something which is beyond his comprehension, or he does not want to understand. Is a different story altogether.
Sushita, like we've never discussed this. What do you make of, on a psychological level, what do you make of these Trump supporters?
No comment.
God bless you.
refrain from commenting on anything political on this platform for multiple reasons and my own personal safety and security and my sanity. Peace be upon all.
Then I feel they definitely could use AMP.
They could definitely use the AMP, sure, why not, yaar? But never
We
mind.
don't want to deal with them
Never mind. Yeah. Never mind.
for our sanity.
Exactly. Oh my God, something happened to my phone. Wow, so cool.
So, Shantanu,
Yeah.
let's talk on a different matter altogether. So, we at AMP, tackle mental health via using art as a basis. Our foundation is deeply rooted in using art as a way to talk about mental health. What do you think? How do you do you agree with it? Do you think what role does art play in your mind? When raising awareness for mental health?
I think more than raising awareness about mental health, see, I go back to the theory that what is art. Ultimately, art is a representation of what you feel and what you think. Um, and if you are going through an issue, or if you're going through a problem and you can't talk to people about it, you may not directly say it, but it comes out in what you write. It comes out in what you draw and paint and play. And I don't think art. A lot of time people feel ये भी एक और problem है that in our country art is just drawing.
Yeah.
But art is not just drawing. Even writing is an art. Even playing the guitar is an art. Even playing the veena is an art. Even singing is an art. Acting is an art. All of that is art. So I think a lot of times art itself comes out as a representation of what you feel and think. So I think for somebody who's going through a problem, let's say grief, even if somebody is going through grief, art is an expression of the grief you're going through. So you may not be able to tell people that I'm very sad or I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that, but it comes out in your songs, in your writing, in your playing an instrument, in your drawings. It comes out in all of that. So I think art is more of I think representative of what you feel inside, and that is therapeutic for a lot of people we don't tend to value it as much, but it's very therapeutic for everybody when they're able to say something or write something when nobody's listening to them really.
True. So we've read some of your work. You obviously through the magazine and everything. You come off as a very cerebral writer. Like last month, your first article you had written. It was a completely different approach, a very cerebral approach to writing that I've seen. It's a very interest. It was a very interesting concept that a man is lying on the hospital bed and he's almost about to die, and cut back to in his consciousness he's waiting for someone to appear at a bar. uh, so how do you what is your thought process behind when you're writing such stories?
I don't really think too much, honestly. But I know this. See, I've unfortunately seen a lot of people being hospitalized in my immediate family. My brother was actually hospitalized for a long time, and I used to ask him a lot, ki, "Acha, when you're anesthetized or when you're like basically off, what do you think and what did you dream about and what did you see?" So he told me one of his dreams that he used to have. So he had just come out of a surgery, and he said the only thing I could see was the fan rotating, and then I wake up, and then I climb out of bed and I go to the next room, and I'm only sleeping in the next room and looking at the fan. So they are weird cyclical things that you see when you're anesthetized, and because that is not really a dream, you see repetitions of things. That plus I read a lot about what people think when they dream, what do dreams mean, what do people really feel when they. So a lot of my thought process is that the most honest you are is when you've just woken up. So when you've just woken up, whatever you tell yourself is what you actually feel, which is because when you're dreaming, you're completely vulnerable. You have nobody to answer to. You're not thinking about this is right, this is wrong, anything. So that's why I think I tend to use dreams a lot in what I write. Even the books that I've written or the other articles I've written, I tend to mix and match dreams a lot, and I tend to not go too deep into what somebody. So I don't explain feelings in words. A lot of people explain feelings in words a lot, and they do it really well. I find a problem in explaining feelings, that what I'm feeling right now, I can't write it. But I can write situations which will make you feel the same way. So you'll be able to relate, हाँ इस time पे ना इसको ऐसा लग रहा होगा. So that is what I am able to do. I'm not able to write down exactly what I'm feeling to make you cry. So that whether that is cerebral or whether it's something else, I really don't know. But my line of thought is not to really write down what I am feeling, but bring a situation which makes you feel the same way.
Shrishita, your thoughts on the matter?
What was the matter again? I'm so sorry. I was paying a lot of attention to what Shantanu
No,
was saying. So
no, we were talking about the way he writes. So he talked about dreams, or what they hold, what kind of pull they hold towards the human psyche. Your thoughts on that?
So the one person that all of us have to thank, at least in my opinion, of course there were many pioneers after him, was Sigmund Freud. He was the one who wrote this book called Interpretation of Dreams, and he worked a lot on dream analysis. Of course, it used to always come from, sort of came from libido, and it kind of sort of came from the psychosexual development that was Freud's theory, that you have the oral stage, the anal stage, you have the phallic stage, and all of these stages of development and all of that. So yeah, thank you, Sigmund, uncle, father of, I don't know what to say anymore. But Freud was like this most interesting thing that psychology could have ever asked for. So with dreams, there is so much that's associated with them, because sometimes what happens is what you are not wanting to consciously process, it may end up manifesting itself in your dreams, and you may start processing it in your dreams, or you may not even process it in your dreams. But whatever has been kept away from the conscious for a purpose with an intent and reason, that sometimes tends to manifest in dreams. Also, if unintentionally you have pushed something away, it may manifest in dreams. Now, more often than not, unintentional pushing away of things is sometimes associated with trauma, and what comes as a result is nightmares, and they're not the most pleasant things to happen. And now another interesting fact is that we don't remember all of our dreams. We don't. No matter how much we may feel that, oh, I remember literally all of my dreams. No, we actually don't. There are certain dreams that we remember a lot because they have been actually that impactful. Your mind has created an imagery for you to explore, which is of such an intense level that you tend to remember them. Sometimes what happens is you may even remember your dream after you wake up, but then uske thodi der baad you would have completely forgotten every single thing about it. So in that groggy state that you are in just after you have woken up, you may remember your dream perfectly well, but then when you have woken up completely, you will probably not remember that dream at all. So majorly what I feel is that dreams are a good thing to happen because they help certain processes to happen. Okay, and things, especially things that you are willing to not address, when they start manifesting in dreams, that is your mind's way of saying, hey, there is something wrong, you really need to address this, you need to do something about it. Like, do something about it. It's too much for your mind to handle. You really need to be working upon it and doing something upon it. Sometimes you will get good dreams, sometimes you'll get weird dreams, sometimes you'll get bad dreams. You have an array of dreams. Sometimes you'll get dreams which are completely out of context. There is absolutely no association. There's no, like, why would I dream such a thing? Why would that happen? And so there are a lot of explanations to all sorts of dreams. One I gave was definitely stuff about your pushing away things from your conscious. Then the other one is if there are certain unprocessed things, like unprocessed emotions, or there are certain events which were very tragic or shocking to you and you were not able to process them, and things like that, they may also manifest in dreams. Some other ways are, let's say, for example, you were at a particular place and it was a pretty regular day for you that day when you were at that particular place, be it a cafe, be it by the beach, or be it anywhere. And it was a pretty decent day. Nothing eventful happened, nothing great happened. It is also quite likely that you'll have a dream about that place. You will find yourself going back to that place over and over again in your dream. That is also an indicator that, okay, that is your quantum of solace, tower of solace. What is that you keep saying, Vikrant?
Fortress of solitude.
Sorry. Fortress of solitude. So and that is why in your dreams sometimes those, you will have a recurrence of certain dreams also, and you will realize that you actually feel comfort in those dreams. So that is your mind's way of telling you that, okay, this is your comfort place. You need to recognize what are the things that calm you, uplift you, and stuff like that. If going by the beach is something that chills you out and calms you down, it may start manifesting in your dreams also. So if anything is happening in your dream, you will somehow find that the setting of your dream is the beach. So that kind of thing. Of course, there's so much more to dreams, dream interpretation, and dreams analysis. But yeah, dreams. Okay, Freud only said this, that dreams are a gateway into your unconscious. Yeah. So yeah, dreams definitely. Dreams are. I don't know. When it comes to dreams, there is never a right word to explain. Nah. So yeah.
Okay, that was something. Yeah. So before we put a stop to this conversation, I'd like to get your opinion, Shantanu. So we asked this of all our guests. What do you see as the future of AMP? Like, how do you see AMP proceeding from here on out? What do you think AMP should do in order to, raise more awareness or put the mental health word out there, so to speak?
I think honestly, you guys are doing a lot, and I must commend you on that. That is the first thing I should say, that a lot is being done already, and you guys are able to reach out to so many people is a great thing in itself, and you should be very proud. That being said, I think there is just such a lot of population who still feels that it is wrong for me to say that I have a problem. Um, and I know people who I know कि यार you are in depression. You are genuinely in depression. And there are people जो ऐसे depression वाला word ऐसे फेंकते फिर रहे हैं कि मैं depression में हूँ, मैं depression में हूँ. You are actually in depression and you're not ready to do anything about it. So I don't know how much of our how much of the people that you reach out to are in that category, but I would really love to see more people associate with you and understand कि हाँ, this is something that I need to solve, and that acceptance is the first thing we have to solve, because treatment, therapy, all of that come much later. Yeah. First, acceptance is the most important, and people don't accept it right now. The moment they accept it, that is when the next stage comes. So, in my opinion, I think we, as an organization, should try to reach out and have more content in terms of people who are willing to accept कि हाँ मुझे problem है यार.
No, I definitely have come across a lot of people ki oh, after seeing your video, yeah, I realized that it's not such a bad thing. Like I always thought of it as a weakness to accept ki हाँ मेरे को कुछ problem है.
Yeah.
Because I come from a place of experience. I thought it was a weakness to, get help or ask for help and stuff like that. And I went through that phase. I went through actually what you would call, people would call depression. And it took me a huge amount of time to get out of it. In hindsight, I think if I had been strong enough to accept that I needed help, maybe that time would have, I would not have even required half the time that it took for me to get out of what I was in. So that is why I, as a person who has experienced what pain it is to go through that, don't want others to make the same mistake as I do.
Yeah.
So I think so that is my struggle with the app. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone. I don't even want my enemies. I don't want people who hate me. I don't hate anyone, but I don't want people who even hate me to go through what I did. So that is my struggle, and that is the whole reason for the app, according to me.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes so much sense.
So here is one very interesting thing. Strength and weakness. Yes or no? True or false? Good or bad? Common terms में समझा जाए तो they are opposites. They are antonyms. But these, especially when you're talking from a mental health point of view, they do not necessarily stand true by what they may literally mean in the sense of the language. So if you are weak, that doesn't mean that you're not strong. And if you are strong, that doesn't mean that you're not weak. I personally take offense to the words weak and strong, because it just skews the way a person looks at themselves. The moment a person decides that, okay, I'm weak, that becomes a definition of who they are. That just completely defines who they are. And if they, think of themselves as strong, that could lead you to another extreme also, wherein you may end up engaging in things like bullying and stuff like that, because you have the power and you'd like to exert it. Now coming to this concept of true and false. What is your truth may not necessarily be my truth. So I often tend to give this example. तुम मुझे कसाई और मंदिर के पंडित के बीच का डिफरेंस बताओ. कौन गलत है, कौन सही? And that is where people are like, no, but they're doing whatever they're supposed to do. Isn't that their profession? I mean, that's something they chose to do for themselves. So how can anybody say किसी एक का काम गलत है दूसरे का काम गलत नहीं है, right? So with this, we have always, kind of sort of been brought up with this extremist ideology of things. We always think black or white, and we forget that there may be shades of gray in between, or there's actually a rainbow in between.
Yeah.
So basically, in to simplify it, AMP is just our attempt to make a safe space. A safe space where people don't have to think about कि oh ये लोग क्या कहेंगे या वो लोग क्या कहेंगे. This is a safe space where you can just be yourself, be whatever you want. If you want to tell us कि you have a problem, we are there to hear you out. We are there to understand. I know we may not be able to empathize, but we can definitely sympathize.
You don't want to sympathize, Vikrant.
Yes.
Sympathy is another problem.
No. I'm not talking about sympathize in the sense of empathize is when I know what you're saying. Okay, and to sympathize means I am trying to understand what you're saying. I'm talking in that sense.
No, sympathy is another thing. Okay, all right. Sympathy is when we go like, how do I say it? अरे, oh my God, तुझे ऐसी तकलीफ हुई? Oh no. तुझे पता है क्या? इसको भी ऐसे तकलीफ हुई थी. I know. नहीं ना, ऐसी तकलीफ नहीं होनी चाहिए. Sympathy. Then on the other hand, empathy. Hold on. Let me finish. You better not butt me. And when we talk about empathy, we will probably use terms like, I can only imagine what you are going through. I can only try and understand the kind of pain. I know I haven't experienced this for myself, but I do realize the intensity of the pain that you are experiencing. Probably not in the same vein as you are experiencing in your situation, but I do understand what this kind of pain may feel like, and I can at least, stand by you in trying to get to understand what's up with you, and I can try to be there for you and just check in on you and stuff like that. So that is the basal difference between sympathy and empathy. That's a very basal difference. Now, the reason why I am strongly mentioning this is because I have seen a lot of people sympathize, and that's not the most healthy.
It's not productive.
It is not at all healthy. It is detrimental to that person's mental health.
Yeah.
But here's the point I was trying to make. Okay, so according to me, and this is according to me, sympathy has this huge spectrum. The one you are telling me is the most wrong spectrum to be catching on. Ki oh tumhare saath ye hua, oh how sad, how bad, and stuff like that. But see, I cannot understand. Obviously, I haven't been through that that experience that you're going through. I cannot understand it, but I can lend an ear. I can hear you out. Maybe the act of just hearing you out is such a huge reason. Sometimes you just want to that you just want to verbally vomit what you're going through sometimes.
Being there and listening to a person are two things which are actually an act of empathy.
Okay, so maybe then I'm talking about the empathic spectrum rather than the sympathic spectrum.
There is no empathic spectrum in the sympathic spectrum.
Sympathy no. For me, empathy is when I get what you're going through. Okay,
to be very honest, you may not ever get what the samne wala is going through. Okay, but you can be there for the person and listen to whatever was or whatever is bothering them. So that still continues to fall under the empathy understanding of things.
So then I am sorry. Then I always get to learn something new. I'm always open to expanding my horizons in that way. I am sorry for my wrong choice of words in that case. So with that, I
Cool.
think on that learning stage
Note.
of mine, when I am entering the chrysalis of getting out to be a better creature of habit, we should end this conversation on that stage. Uh, Guys, it was awesome talking to you, and it's
Yeah.
always like very, very enlightening to learn someone else's point of view on what you say. Sometimes when we are talking about mental health, we forget that हमारे अलावा भी एक point of view हो सकता है. So this is why I love to have these honest conversations with people, so that I can understand, okay, he's going through something like that. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe that is also right. Maybe I should also take that in mind. So with that, guys, I think we should end this conversation right here. Sushita, you wanna take it home for us?
Okay.
You do it so much better than me.
I didn't even do anything. Even in the introduction, hey guys. I just said, hey guys, my name is, and then I was like, I didn't do anything. But okay. So to all our viewers out there, thank you so much for constantly being a part of what I love is the Art and Mind Project. Thank you for always being there for us and listening to us through our small attempts, through our videos, our attempts at trying to create mental health awareness and providing constantly a safe haven for you people to be able to express yourselves and for us to grow together. So, taking it away, thank you so much. We love you all, and we are Team Amp.